Today's show, we're going to be talking about acting, and my guest today is going to be diving right into that, just that. It's going to be interesting because I've never had a comedian actor on my show before. So stay tuned. Hello, and thanks for tuning in to PWD Allies podcast. My name is Brent Frayne. I'm the host. And please like, subscribe to the channel. It really helps the channel a lot. Greatly appreciated. Today, I have a special guest joining me on the show, Sean Towgood. Sean is a creator, co-producer, a writer, and he's the lead actor and on a Canadian TV show. It's called You're My Hero. Well, Sean, thank you so much, and you're my hero actually for joining the show today. Thanks a lot.
Well, thanks so much for having me. I'm happy to be here and talking with you guys.
Yeah, and I was saying before we went live to you, Sean, like this podcast is primarily it's a lot of advocacy talk, more or less, right? And I was telling you that when Brent reached out to me a couple of years ago to do this podcast, I said we can do the advocacy, no problem, it's fine. But I said I want to make sure that we have fun. I want to make sure that we have fun on the podcast too, right? So this podcast and this whole channel that I have on YouTube, there's a lot of extra things on it, like we have you have your travel segments, and we have the food reviews, and we have the music and all the rest of it, and it's fun. And so this is a kind of a departure for us that we have an actor on the show, but in a way it's not really a departure because we're all about the fun here. So it is a departure, but not. So yeah,
exactly. That's why when I introduced you, Sean, I said, you're my hero for coming on, because your series that you have going there, that is a very interesting. I really enjoy the first series I've watched. I haven't watched of course your second series because you don't have it out yet. But
well, I did.
You did. Oh, you beat me to it.
Well, yeah, I got the what do they call it? The press kit.
Oh,
I got the secret code for the press kit,
oh.
and I thought you watched it too. But yeah, so I got the link for the press kit, and I got the sneak peek for the season 2 before everybody else.
There we go.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Like I've never had a press kit before, and the closest I've had to getting the front of the line or something is when you go to the first day of a movie or something, you line up for the first day of the movie, but actually it got ahead of the line and got to see the whole second series before anybody else. So it was really cool.
You got premier front row seats.
Yeah. I really like the supporting actors actors in the show. They're really good.
Absolutely.
There's that Korean actress. She's very good in the show. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. So Sean, tell me first of all, how did you come to be on becoming the lead actor and like the writer, the co-producer, etc. For this?
Well, I watched a lot of television as a kid, and I realized, there wasn't a lot of things that kind of reflected my true experience as somebody who grew up with a disability. I often find that media representation is on two ends of spectrum, either like really tragic or really inspirational.
Yeah.
So I wanted something that accurately reflected what it was
Hmm.
to be a young man with uh, cerebral palsy. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, right on.
And
Uh,
and we always talk about the term inspiration porn. Yeah, and
yeah.
I always hate that too, you know, when it has to because I mean I'll plug my book a little bit too. Like my book Daddy Bent Legs, which I released like 15 years ago now. The reason why I wrote the book is exactly the same reason, Sean, is that I just wanted a book that accurately showed the experience because
Hmm.
everything that I saw was just a bunch of inspiration porn, and I was like, I don't want to read that. I want to show something that's a bit fun,
Hmm.
like just like
Yeah.
this podcast, my book. I wanted my book to be fun, and I wanted to have be an accurate reflection of what having a disability actually was, right?
Hmm.
So yeah,
I mean, turning real life lived experience into a show, or like anything like that, or like a documentary, like turning it around and shining the light on who you are, and having your experiences shine out there. It's so neat. Like for myself, it's like turning all my lived experience and by bringing people onto the show and talking about what do they go through, and it's almost like looking in a mirror, and having it amplify out. I mean, with you, so your show, it really amplifies out a lot of things. I think that a lot of people with disabilities they go through. That's what I pick up on.
yeah,
yeah, and I think what we try to do with that is we don't try and teach lessons. We do it through humor so
Yeah.
that people are are laughing and then they realize that, oh, maybe I do some of those things sometimes.
yeah.
Maybe I should look at how I'm interacting with people with disabilities because
Mhm.
nobody wants to be lectured to, right? Like,
No,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that I really did appreciate about the show, and it started right from the very first episode, actually, of season one,
Hmm.
is kind of like your opening scene is like you in the sling in
Yeah.
the ceiling lift, ceiling track lift, right?
Hmm.
And again, like Sean, you probably don't know this, Sean, but my first wife, she's gone now, but she had arthrogryposis, so she was confined to a motorized wheelchair her
Hmm.
whole life, and she needed care aids 24/7,
Hmm.
and she needed the ceiling track lift and the whole bit, and yeah, and I just thought it was really refreshing. Like
Hmm.
I was telling your manager that, I was a big fan of the show Speechless. I don't know if you were. I really like that show, but like thinking back to that show, I don't ever recall seeing a shot of the character in a sling, and you
Yeah.
had that. I thought that was really cool that
Yeah.
that showed that, and then you were talking about problems with your care aides, or you call them personal care workers. Is that was you used the term, right? Um, and again, that doesn't get a lot of airplay too. And I thought that was kind of cool that you're talking about the carriage not showing up and getting stuck in the sling and all that kind of stuff. Because that was really resonating with me because I've lived through all that with my first wife, right? So yeah, it
Hmm.
was cool.
That's the part it came out to me as the number one part where, yeah, it was like what you went through, as the role actor. And I thought, wow, like how you explained like all that too. It was so neat. I really enjoyed that. I look forward to the number two. I haven't taken a look at that.
Well, you did have the link, Brent.
But now I got the popcorn out, popcorn out there in front row seats, and I'll watch it. Oh yeah,
There
forward
you
to that one.
go. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
well,
Go. Yeah, go ahead.
sorry, I I was just gonna say I think those are the moments that I'm most proud of because it's moments like those that people don't really see very much uh on television. Like
Yeah.
Mhm.
you don't see the day-to-day stuff of what
Mhm.
it's like living with a disability.
Mhm.
There's another shot that I go back to when I talk about this. Uh when Ian goes to work and he can't get into work, the
Right.
beginning
Mhm.
of that the
Yeah.
beginning of that episode
Yeah.
is he gets out of the wheelchair accessible van, and I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure like that's very rare to see on
Yeah.
television.
You don't
Mhm.
see that.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
And the episode where you lost power to your wheelchair and you had to plug in. I mean, again, that
Mhm.
was something that I went through with my wife in her chair. We like almost a weekly occurrence, almost a weekly occurrence where there would be low battery. It's like shit, you know.
Oh no.
Yeah, it happened all the time. And yeah, so one of the things I did want to talk about a little bit is how challenging is for you to juggle. Like I know with a comedy you have to kind of hit the beats, and
Mhm.
again you've only got 18 minutes to package a story. But one of the things I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to get your opinion on, is sometimes, like, of course, in real life, uh, like I can say, for my own example, I'm sure you have tons too, where if your chair breaks down, like
Mhm.
I've been stuck in a park at 10:30 at night. My wife was stuck in her chair at 10:30 at night in a park, and we had to call the fire department. And so this was the whole thing. It was like we wasted like 2 hours of our night. And the fire truck had to come, and the firemen like escorted us back to back to the place so they could, you know, take her into from the chair into the bed and stuff. And of course all that takes like, 4 hours or 2 hours or whatever.
Mhm.
And one of the things I wanted to say is how do you juggle that with a show where you have to be quick? Because one of the things I was going to say is, for example, the episode called "The Stain." That's a really, we'll get to that in a second. But the Stain was good because you were stuck in bed and you were like, man, I'm stuck in bed all day. But I almost wished, and I'll get your opinion on this. I almost wished that there was a part one and a part two for that one. You know what I mean? Like I wish there was more time to really
Mhm.
get down into the kind of the psychosis of it, or you could kind of spend more time on, man, this sucks,
Yeah.
or spend more time on the kind of the shit thing that you did as a friend. We'll get into that too, but kind of be able to dive deeper with a bit more time. So I just wanted to talk to you about managing your time and the 18-minute limit,
Mhm.
and trying to flesh out the stories of, like, going a little bit deeper. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's always a balance. But what we try and do on this show is give those types of issues the time that they deserve,
Mhm.
because that's what this show is doing, that is so special, you know. So,
Yeah.
but but also if you let it linger a bit too long, then it becomes it kind of drags the
Yeah.
pace down. So
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. I think uh one of the biggest things that we struggle with in the writers room was
Hmm.
how do we how do we give those moments time, but
Yeah.
yet keep the comedy up? Uh,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but what I will say is that when we run into those issues, we always try to go with authenticity
Yeah.
first,
Mhm.
and then build from there.
Yeah, because I know you do have to hit your beats with because it is
Mhm.
comedy, so you have to hit your beats. I understand that, but like I just keep going back to that Stain episodes because I'm thinking to myself like it would have been cool to kind of have it be a part one and a part two. I don't know
Yeah,
how you would have done that. I don't know how you would have done that necessarily, but you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like just spend a bit more time on that particular episode because I really like that whole vibe on that particular episode. It's like, man, I wish there was a bit more time on that one, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, I
But
would agree.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I uh, I totally agree with you.
yeah.
Uh, I think there's a lot more to explore, and I think we do a good job of that in season two. We get to go a little bit deeper
Oh,
and dive deeper into some fun fun scenarios,
Hmm.
and hopefully people enjoyed enough to have us back for a third, and then
Yeah.
we get to go even more in depth.
I know
Well,
I'm looking forward to watching that segment. Oh, for sure.
well, and I know something you don't know, Brent, because I watched the second season.
Oh.
But this is where art imitates life is the
Mm.
last episode of season two. You were on a podcast, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The last episode of season
Oh,
two, and maybe I'm giving away a plot, but yeah. So it's art imitating life of you're on a podcast. So here you are on a
yeah,
podcast.
yeah, you are on the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
So that's kind of cool. Yeah.
hmm.
Yeah. Well, podcasting is kind of close to my heart because radio in general is close to my heart because
Hmm.
I graduated from Humber College, so
Oh, okay.
I'll always have a soft spot for radio and podcasting for
Hmm.
sure.
Yeah, the one thing I really enjoy is connecting people together. It's that's where the podcast has come into play. Future endeavors to maybe expand onto the podcast might endeavor into the radio industry and blend it into that too. You never know.
Yeah.
So, but here we are. I mean, you're talking about your interest in the radio broadcast and podcasting, and it's right up my alley. Here we are, and then we're talking about your segment, your show that you were on, and then the podcast. And now here you are on the podcast. Yeah, yeah.
So I didn't know where you wanted to go now, Sean. I didn't know if you wanted to share a bit of your background or I
Mhm.
mean, I know the reason why you released the second season when you did is in recognition of National Cerebral Palsy Month. And actually there's a National Cerebral Palsy Day. There's a National Cerebral Palsy Day, which actually is March 25th, which actually is my birthday. Thank you very much. So my birthday is National Cerebral Palsy Day on my birthday.
Wow.
But the National Cerebral Palsy Month is this month, and that's why you wanted to release the second season is in recognition of that.
On
But
your
I didn't know
birthday.
if you wanted to talk about that or if you wanted to talk about your upbringing first or what.
It'd be a beautiful
Yeah, I
birthday
mean,
present for you, Neil.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we can talk about wherever you want to go. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, we just thought it was a nice way to highlight, you know, uh,
Hmm.
this show and like let the cerebral palsy and wider disability community kind of uh, celebrate a little bit, and the timing is just is pretty fortuitous.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
that's
it's
very impressive. Very, very impressive. I mean, having it launch on that day, Yeah, that's
Well,
that's great.
there's also World Cerebral Palsy Day, which
Mhm.
is October, isn't it? It's October 2nd, I
Yeah, I
believe.
believe it is. Yeah.
So yeah. So the CPers have 2 days. We
Oh,
have two
Yeah,
days. 2 days of the calendar.
awesome. That's
We're
awesome.
taking over the world, Sean.
Yeah.
yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, talk about your upbringing a little bit then. Like kind of what we always talk about origin story on the podcast here.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Spider-Man. Like of all the superheroes, Spider-Man is my favorite because he's like this little kid. He's got
Hmm.
really no special powers other than the Spidey bite, right? And I always really kind of admired Spider-Man and really thought that origin story was cool. So let's hear a bit of your origin story, Sean.
Well, first of all, I agree with you. I would say that Spider-Man is also my favorite
Oh,
uh,
cool.
superhero for the
Yeah.
record.
Right on.
But I guess, my my story is I grew up in a pretty artistic family and artistic environment. My mother was an actor, my aunt was a musician, and everyone is like in the arts in some way or the other. So I guess I come by it honestly. But then I got to a point where I realized, uh, listen, like I won't be happy unless I'm doing this type of work. And so I I never really saw it as like I don't want to be famous, I don't want to be a star. I
Hmm.
just like I would be unhappy unless I was an actor. And I think I also have to give massive credit to my mom for uh she didn't inflate expectations. In season one, Ian is like, I could never be an astronaut. My
Hmm.
mom never said that I could like do anything I wanted unless if I put my mind to it. What
Hmm.
she what she did say was, listen, if there's something that you really want to do and you really work hard at and you really put your all into it, we'll figure out how to make it work. And so I think that mentality really carried me through the early part of my career is
Hmm.
because there's always uh, a solution to an issue. You just have to find it.
Yeah,
Uh, so I think that really has served me well.
it's good. Yeah.
Neil, I'm just going to turn my screen off just for one moment here, and then relocate into another room temporarily.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. So
We'll
you
we'll
just,
we'll
you
we'll
just
talk
keep up,
amongst ourselves here.
sure, and I'll be right back in just a moment, folks.
Okay.
Stay tuned, and Neil will be
Yeah.
talking to our guest Sean, and I'll be right back.
The wonders of live TV. Yeah, the other thing I wanted to talk about too is you know, you are the star, you're a co-producer, you're the creator, you're a writer of the show, You're My Hero. I mean, that's a lot to take. That's a lot of hats for one person to wear. I wanted to know kind of like, have you always wanted to wear all that many hats, or were you a little bit unsure if you could do it and just wanted to say, I wonder if I can do it. I wonder if I can wear all these hats, or how did that all come about that you decided that you were going to wear all these hats and put on the show? Yeah.
So I feel like, to extend that metaphor a little bit, I feel like I might be a little bit of a coat rack, if you will.
Okay.
I'll explain that. What I mean is, I think I I collected those roles because one, there wasn't a lot of content for people with disabilities, as we spoke about earlier. Two, uh, authentic authenticity was important to me, and
Mm-hmm.
so the best person to head up that story was someone who had lived it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then as an actor, as I say, we don't have as a disabled actor, excuse me, we
Mm.
don't have a lot of opportunities. So
Yeah.
really, there's a selfish aspect to it as well. I was like, I want to
Yeah.
create my own work for myself.
That makes
So
sense. Yeah.
yeah, so it's really out of necessity at this
Yeah.
point. And then the producer thing, I think I I'm really new to that uh
Mm-hmm.
portion of things. So I I'm learning the best I can, and Long Hope Media, our production company, has been really great since day one on this process
Mm-hmm.
about because when I approached them, when me and my writing partner approached them, they understood how new we were to the process,
Mm-hmm.
and they kind of helped us navigate really unfamiliar landscapes. So
Mm-hmm.
they've been great with that.
So you mentioned a writing partner. So is your writing team that you have, is it basically you and one other person, or is there more people involved in the team, the writing team?
So our writing team is uh, myself and Cassidy Siviero
Mm-hmm.
and Kevin Wallace, our
Hello.
executive producer.
Hi.
And so it's the writing room consists of the three of us.
Yeah, you're on there now, Brent,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
good.
on. Yeah. I'm
Good.
on. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry about that. I
Relocated to the bedroom.
I just had a moment. It was funny. I had just turned my screen back on, and then I had somebody at my front door. I'm like, oh, impeccable
Uh,
timing, right? I'm
okay.
like,
So go to your bedroom. You've been bad, Brent.
I've
Go
been
to your
bad.
bedroom. You've been bad.
I have company coming over in a little bit, and so I had to relocate. Now I'm in the dungeon.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, we were just talking about the writing team for the show.
Yeah.
All the people that are involved with that. Um,
There's
yeah,
a lot of, there's a lot of work that goes into writing shows. I mean, like Neil can tell you. I mean, everything that he has to do with arranging the podcast. I mean, some people think, oh, you just turn it on, but no, there's a lot of stuff that you have to do.
we always make fun that it's just press record and it's
Nope.
like it's done. But yeah,
Nope.
there's a lot that goes on. So
Yeah.
like for you, Sean, roughly like how long does it take to do say one episode, like
Hmm.
from the beginning uh all the way to the like filming and the post production? Like how long do you spend like writing the show and then doing all the pre-production and post-production to
Hmm.
get one episode in the can? How long did that take you to do one episode in the can roughly each time?
Well, it really depends on the funding windows as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
so because that dictates when we'll be able to shoot the show, as they say. So, you know, we get together and then we brainstorm ideas, and then we come together with like a skeleton of what we want the episode to look like, and
Mm.
then we kind of, you know, every writer's room has a different process that works for them. But what
Mhm.
we do is we sort of pass the episode around the circle. So
Mhm.
one of us will take uh take the first stab at it, and then one of us will uh kind of do our pass, as they say, and
Mm.
then
Mhm.
one of us will do another pass, and then we come back together and we talk about it, and then we take it back and polish it up, and
Yeah.
then it's ready to kind of go through a higher level of scrutiny. So I would say it takes uh, about 2 weeks to write one of our
Okay, so
episodes.
quite a bit of effort then for every episode. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, that's quite a bit. Yeah,
There's a lot, of course, a lot of editing as you're going along too, and it's
yeah.
when we do,
Maybe you'll get involved and be the lead editor too.
yeah. It's like when we do our bloopers. Sometimes we'll have bloopers. It's like, oh, it's like, no, yeah,
Yeah,
we're live, Brett. What? Hang
yeah,
on, hang on. You know,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, our editor, uh, Angelica Falco, is absolutely fantastic. If
Mm.
you put me in front of a console,
Mm.
I don't know what I like. I would probably ruin the whole show. So, and
Oh,
Yeah.
she's absolutely fantastic. So I wouldn't really want anyone else to edit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mhm.
that's fair. Yeah, you're wearing four hats as it is already, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, like I said, the show has these little beats in it that does remind me of just being disabled, but also like I was saying with my previous wife, uh the sling was always an issue. Her chair breaking down was always an issue. And one of the things that I can share is the very first date that I had with her was a blind date. I'd
Oh,
never met her. It was a blind date.
oh,
And she had told me on the phone before I even met her. She said, and she told me after the fact why she said this, but she said on the phone at the time, she said, I'm meeting some friends for dinner afterwards, so I don't have a lot of time on the date. But she said that, of course, to give herself an out, just in case she wasn't enjoying the date, right? So that was her out card to get out of
uh,
the date if she wasn't enjoying it. But anyway, so we ended up going. It was about a month before Christmas. It was December 1st. What was it? December 1st, 2001. That was my first date with her. And we went to the mall, and we did some early Christmas shopping at the mall. And I remember, we were having a good time, and it was like maybe a couple hours into the date. I had in my head like what she had told me on the phone earlier. That she was gonna be meeting some of her friends for dinner, but then she was saying, I'm really hungry. I'm really hungry.
mm,
I was ignoring that because I'm thinking, well, of course she's just gonna have dinner with her friends. But
mhm,
meanwhile, she started to drop hints to me like, is this guy going to ask me out for dinner? And
yeah,
of course,
yeah,
I didn't want to do it because I'm thinking, well, she's already told me that she didn't want to do that,
yeah, yeah,
right? So
right.
anyway, so after about the sixth time of her saying, "Man, I'm really hungry," so finally I say, "Well, do you want to eat something?" And she's like, "Yes," and so then we go to the restaurant. We go to the restaurant and we have a good meal, and I think everything is going really good. And then says, "Wait a minute." She excuses herself from the table, and I think she said, "I just have to touch my makeup," and so she says, "I'm going to excuse myself to the bathroom." And so I'm waiting for her, and I waited for like I think 20 or 25 minutes. I kid you not, it was 20 to 25 minutes, and I thought that it was going well. I thought she had ditched me. I thought she ditched me. I'm thinking like all
Oh,
this time I was thinking the whole date's going really well, and I'm thinking, oh, did she ditch me? And so I actually got up off the table, and I kind of asked around all the waiters and waitresses in the I said, have you seen this girl? Did you see her leave? Like, so I actually even went outside the restaurant because thinking, well, maybe she's left. So I went outside
oh,
then I came back and sat down again. But it turns out she was stuck. She was stuck in the bathroom.
oh,
Uh, she couldn't get out of the bathroom.
oh no,
Like the door was
Oh
stuck or
man.
something. So
oh,
all this time, I was sitting at the
oh,
table thinking, this woman's ditched me, and I was like so depressed, thinking like this is a good date, and she's ditched me, and I was ready to
Oh
leave, and it turns out that she was stuck in the bathroom. So
that was
there's another new episode for you there, Sean.
yeah.
that's like a
Yeah.
good plot right there for
Yeah, there's a,
story.
Yeah.
one episode for you written right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Neil's to be future wife at the time when she was his girlfriend got stuck in the washroom. Nobody knew where she was.
I was
Neil was
convinced
panicking.
I was convinced that she ditched me, and I'm thinking, oh man, I thought this was going well because I think I'm to myself like she even wanted to say that she wanted to have dinner with me, and I'm thinking, oh, this is going really good, and all of a sudden I'm thinking, did she ditch me? Like I really thought that, right? I was like, oh man, this
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
climb up to the story, and then ooh, the suspense happens. And then,
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, there's so many stories like that, though, right,
uh,
Sean? And that's what I mean is there's I'm sure there's so many stories that you wish you could spend more time on to flesh them out. But as you said, like the nature of sitcom is
mhm,
everything's fast,
mhm.
and you have to hit certain beats. But yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think the network CBC Gem does a great job of kind of giving us leeway to sort of tell the stories we want to tell. So
Hmm.
as much as I would like more time,
Hmm.
I feel as if they are very supportive in allowing us to
Right.
tell uh, the stories the way we want to tell them.
Absolutely. I believe wholeheartedly on that is the person telling their story on how it should be told. Because anyway, it's lived experience stories, but turning a lived experience story into a show that reflects a lot on just what a person goes through or what they could be going through, based on a story. But I mean, there's a lot more behind it. So I mean,
Hmm.
developing a story into a real life, like your character. Yeah, it's so neat following along with that. And like I say, I look forward to the second one that Neil's already got his hands on. I don't have to get my
Yeah.
popcorn out and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What was I gonna say? Uh, oh, my brain, Brent. Um, yeah, it was. I was gonna say that with with your show though, and I think this is a new trend with a lot of sitcoms now, is like you're pretty young, Sean, so maybe I'm gonna date myself when I say this, but back in the day, sitcoms used to be a lot more self-contained. That was like it didn't matter if you watched the shows in order or not. It was like
Yeah,
every show was a self-contained thing, and you didn't care if you knew anything about the characters or
Mhm.
what was happening. It was like it had a beginning, middle, and end, and everything had a nice bow tied at the end of it, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but the new trend with the shows, and the same with your show, is the plot lines continue from show to show, right? You have a continual plot line running all the way through the show. And one of
Yeah.
the things I wanted to do to entice people that are watching to watch the show is towards the end of season one,
Mhm.
you kind of do a really kind of a prick thing.
Mhm.
Your character Ian does a
Mhm.
kind of a really prick thing to your friend Eric.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I won't spoil it, but
Yeah.
I kind of thought that would it kind of leaves it on a cliffhanger, and it was kind
Yeah.
of kind of cool that
Yeah.
you kind of follow the thread, like I said, all the way through, and all the episodes kind of connect, and then you get to this last episode, and everything kind of like crescendos,
Mhm.
and then it just kind of leaves you at a cliffhanger at the end of the season one, and you're like, shit, I wonder what happens, right? So
Yeah.
that was pretty cool. I did enjoy that part.
I was
Yeah,
extremely impressed with that,
yeah,
John.
yeah,
Very impressed.
yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I think that's the type of storytelling that I'm drawn to is expanding characters throughout the season, right? Like
Mhm.
it's an arc. So it's a little bit different than like, um like say for example Law and Order. You don't have to have seen last week's Law and Order to understand this week's Law and Order,
Mhm.
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
uh
yeah.
there's gonna be a case, and there's gonna be a trial, and then there's gonna be another one next week. But I
Hmm.
think I think what intrigues me about storytelling is kind of like, oh, where's this gonna go? I have to tune in.
Yeah,
What's gonna
Mhm.
happen?
yeah,
So
Mhm. What I find
yeah. The
really
character development is so crucial, right? Like you want to buy into the characters. Yeah, yeah.
what I find interesting on some shows too, which Sean, you could probably dive into this, is like say you're watching a sitcom and you missed a couple episodes. It's like some of them where you can just pick up where you left off, and you're like maybe a couple weeks down the road, and they've already had you've missed a whole bunch of shows, and it's like, hey, wait a minute, they're in this season. There's this
Yeah.
scene of another character. So you're like, hey, I didn't know that character got married to that one. But what happened there? Where did I miss it? But it's almost like you're kind of continuing on where you left off. It's I find it so interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for me also, uh, for me personally, I think where we left off in season one, I never thought as if we could do anything differently to start episode two. I knew that we had to pick up exactly because I
Hmm.
think I think there's something interesting about like where are they both Eric and Ian at the beginning of the season when their
Yeah.
bond was
Hmm.
was so strong uh throughout the beginning of season one. Well, what happens when that bond is broken, right? So
Hmm.
it's about them kind of trying to navigate life without the other one, and
Hmm.
then can they do that uh effectively? And one of them does do that effectively, and the other one, some might say, doesn't really
Yeah.
handle it as well as.
Well, actually, to be honest too, like you've seen the thumbnail for today's show, and it was a little bit, you know, I'm being, I was quite promotional on this thumbnail, which of course I don't usually do, but for this case, I thought, well, it makes
Hmm.
sense. But actually, what I toyed with the idea of using the I always trying to come up with you know, cute little word choices when I come up with the thumbnail. And I thought about using the choice of flawed hero,
Mm,
but I didn't want to give the impression that the show was bad or anything. But the fact that your character Ian
mhm,
is a flawed character is kind of cool. Like I like
mm,
the temptation would be to like show him in the best light all the time so that he has the sympathy of the
mm,
audience the whole time. But I think that it's a real benefit that you're kind
mm.
of showing Ian as this kind of flawed character, that he's not always, you know, on the ball perfect all the time. And that's kind of cool as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was very important to me as we started down the road of this project was, I had seen a lot of media when people, the rare occasions where a disabled person is centered in media, oftentimes they are infallible, right?
Mhm,
That's not real to life. That's not what life is. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I make mistakes.
mhm,
Sometimes I'm having a bad day. Sometimes I misread situations.
Mhm.
So I, I think it really does a service to promote the that kind of what really goes on within the community. And honestly, I say this often, but I think Ian was where I was as a teenager. I
Mhm.
think
mhm,
I was I was very bitter and disenchanted with the world, and
Mhm.
I managed to work on that and sort of work through that for myself. But
Mhm.
Ian hasn't really uh got there necessarily. I think Ian has some work left to do on that front, and I think that is a fun thing to explore as an actor as well, to be able to go back to somewhere you were in your life and sort
mhm.
of re-examine it when you've moved past that period in your
Mhm.
life.
That's where
Yeah.
I find it just so fascinating. It's like kind of like blending like ideas or like maybe like things. Is that what you when you were writing like that actor? Were you thinking maybe like different things in your life that to kind of make that character like to be who you want that character to be, like of different similarities of the strengths and maybe the weaknesses of that character? Is that yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
I drew on
yeah.
a lot of my own
Mm,
uh, personal things, but
mm,
also at the end of the day, it's supposed to be entertaining,
yeah,
right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, at the
like,
same time, yeah. It's,
it doesn't necessarily have to be autobiographical. Like,
mhm.
Ian can make mistakes that I wouldn't make.
Yeah.
Ian can do things that I wouldn't do
Yeah,
because
Mhm.
yeah.
that's Ian as a character. So there's a bit of both sides in
Yeah.
that.
Kind of some humor in with it too at the same time. And I would say when we're talking about when you mention about a wheelchair, like a scooter, motorized scooter, the battery conked out. I was thinking at the time, and Sean, you'll probably laugh on this one. I just say hook up an extra rocket booster on the back and just hit button.
Hey, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, actually, I love the beginning of the show. It's got your wheelchair and it's like turns into like a what is it? Um Power Ranger, not a Power Ranger. The transformer, kind of a
Yeah,
transformer thing at the
yeah.
beginning of the episode. It's kind of cool. Yeah.
Like rocket booster.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool effect. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wanted to also get back to the humor because
Mm,
I think you will identify with this is that basically anybody with a disability that is I'll say well adjusted or well rounded and or well equipped to handle the battle scars, shall we say,
mm,
is somebody that has a good sense of humor. Like for
mhm.
me, growing up, and again, I have about 30 years on you, Sean, I think, because you're what, like 27, are you?
I, I am 31.
Oh, okay, because your character says he's 27, almost 28.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, well, maybe you're about the same. Okay, so but you're still quite a bit younger than me because I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna have my 57th birthday, and but of course, like for me, like I had to depend on my humor so much
Mm,
to make my way into the quote unquote normal world, right? Where I knew that if I didn't make myself approachable and fun,
mm,
people would think, "Oh, this guy's weird and different." And I don't want to meet anybody that's weird and different. It's just too
mhm,
weird, right? So
mhm,
so right off the bat, like I knew, thinking on my feet, like I gotta make myself a fun guy that people are gonna want to know, gonna want to get to know. And that's what worked for me, right? And I just wanted to know if, even though you're a lot younger than me, if you've kind of used the same strategies growing up with the same thing.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more. I agree 100%. I think uh, for me, a lot of it too was if if I didn't want to like hate how inaccessible the world was, hate how difficult my life truly is on a daily basis. You know, the only way to get through that is like uh using humor,
Yeah,
you
you have to
know.
you have to
yeah.
So
laugh at it. You have to laugh at it, or
yeah,
else you'd be crying the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Also, like as a kid, I grew up around sports arenas. Kind
Mhm.
of, I was in arenas for a good portion of my childhood, and you know, this is kind of embarrassing, but a way that I found is, you know, in my experience, able-bodied people, the one of the ways to get them to laugh is just have a disabled person drop an F bomb, and
Yeah.
it'll kill they'll love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you know,
We've dropped some
but
bombs on here.
Yeah.
yeah, but I think also there's there's that there is that I'm okay, guys. Like I can make fun of myself.
Mm,
Like I'm not gonna be broken. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not fragile, and
Hmm.
so I think that's why we put that out front. So I think you're absolutely right
Yeah.
there, Neil.
Yeah.
yeah. I sometimes I'll make fun of myself, and some people say, "Well, you got four eyes." I go, "Well, isn't it better than two eyes?" Yeah, but you have to read something really close to your face. The small print. I said, "No, I don't." So now I'll get my glasses and I'll say, "Whoa!" Right to them. They're like, "Whoa!" I go, "Hey, that's a magnifying glass. It's a portable magnifying glass built right on my face. Isn't that nice?"
Well, like
Yeah.
I actually like to self-deprecate myself all the time, honestly, and
Mm,
and I actually appreciate that in other people.
Hmm.
And you know this, Brent, and
Yeah.
people that have watched the podcast from the beginning is one of the big reasons why I want to get Michael Bublé on the show.
Hmm.
You know Michael
Yeah.
Bublé,
Yeah.
right? Sean?
Yeah, yeah.
One of the reasons why I want so bad to get Michael Bublé on the show is that he just strikes me as a person that is really self-deprecating. And honestly, I think that's one of the most attractive things that I
Hmm.
can find in a person sometimes is somebody that's
Hmm.
willing and able and okay with making fun of themselves and not being so high up and overly confident, like
Hmm.
yeah, that's a big quality for me. Somebody that's willing to humble themselves and kind of look silly and not afraid to look silly and not afraid to be vulnerable. I think
Hmm.
is a really attractive trait to me for anybody, really. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
yeah.
Oh, oh, totally on that, yeah, I try to just put humor in life. I mean, I do breaking with Brent segments. I have a blast with some of them. Some of them are a little bit serious. Some of them are still funny because I try to throw some funny quirks into into things too at the same time because you got to put humor in life. I mean, if you don't, then it just life kind of gets kind of dull and boring. And I think life and boring and doesn't always coincide. So I put humor, mix it all up, and throw a badge out there and see how it sticks. You know,
Yeah,
Guess what, Brent?
yeah.
We're already at the end of the hour. We
already.
we
Oh
are
wow!
already at the end of the hour. Oh, that went fast. That went super fast.
See how fast the show goes. And Sean, I'd love to extend the invitation for you to come back on to another podcast in the very, very near future. Definitely, we can talk more about some of your show developments, and I'm kind of curious. Really, is how the characters are going to evolve in your show over time. That's going to be so amazing too, especially with Ian and Eric. Yeah, those, yeah.
I dropped my mouse. I dropped my mouse. That's what I was fishing underneath the
Did it
desk
squeak
for.
or did it squeak around?
Yeah, it was squeaking. I was like,
Yeah, as
"You dropped me."
long as you didn't step on it,
Yeah,
let's squash that mouse.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
But
Yeah,
yeah, the development of the characters and just going forward on the show and seeing how it evolves is so interesting. I encourage our viewers and our listeners to definitely follow Sean Towgood on his adventures in developing the new series that he's got on there.
Yeah,
Uh,
I was saying too that like I have an older box of Telus. I've got Telus TV, but it's an older box,
hmm.
and I also have an older TV that's supposed to be a smart TV, but it's basically a dumb TV. So the only apps it has
Hmm.
is Netflix and it has YouTube, and that's it.
Oh.
And so the only really way I can watch your show, Sean, is through for me personally, it was my Roku box. I have a Roku box in the back. Those Roku boxes are amazing. They're great. You can get
Hmm.
everything on the Roku box.
Oh, wow.
So anybody that has an older TV that maybe doesn't have access to all the apps like the CBC Gem, get
Mhm.
yourself a Roku box because that was my solution to be able to watch the show. I mean, I was able to get the press kit, like I said, and got a free click to the season two. But to watch the first season, I had to go to the bedroom to my Roku box, and it worked great. So yeah,
Awesome, awesome.
yeah,
So Roku is the way to watch all the latest episodes on CBC
yeah.
Gem on Sean's new series. That's awesome, Sean. Definitely, I want to thank you very very much for coming on to today's show.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you for
Absolutely,
having me. And
absolutely.
uh, we're really excited about about some surprises that we had in the second season.
Oh,
And
I know what they are. I know what they are
yeah,
already.
I don't know yet because I haven't seen it. I'm really gonna do a little sneak peek, get the popcorn out tonight, watch that. Mhm.
Yeah.
So I was
And
gonna say, I was gonna
sorry,
say,
go on.
I was gonna say, power to all the cerebral palsy people out there.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah,
right. We're taking over.
we're
Yep.
taking over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Uh,
absolutely.
It's not going to be it's not going to be AI that takes over. It's going to be the cerebral palsy population. So
Well,
Conquer.
watch out!
Yeah.
Watch out!
Full steam ahead.
we can't let them know the secret, right? We have
That's
to.
right. That's
Yep.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Until this.
yeah, I'd be thrilled to come back anytime you guys will have me.
Yeah.
So
Thanks, Sean.
thanks
Absolutely.
very much.
It was a good
Yeah.
episode. Thanks. Yeah.
It's great. Thank you. And I want to thank you for coming on today, Sean, and looking forward to having you on in the very, very near future. More than once. If you're more than welcome to come on anytime you want. I also want to thank all of our listeners and our viewers today for tuning in and watching today's podcast. Hope you enjoyed the content as usual. Watch out for any Breaking with Brent segments. Keep up to date on all the current content. If you want to be a guest on our show, definitely reach out to Neil. Where this year's goal is we want to get prominent guests on. That's our goal. But in the meantime, I mean, we do like to fill in and get people in about lived experience stories. It's like today's show with Sean. And talking about the struggles of the through Sean's character Ian. What Ian the struggles like what goes on in Ian's life, but also what goes on in Sean's life, but in comparison of what goes on in your life as a PWD or as an ally. What do you face on a day-to-day basis? People around you in your life. Come on and talk about your stories. We'd love to hear.
Next time we have Sean on, we'll get very political. How about that?
Oh, there we are.
All right. I mean, I, I'm not afraid of that. I can
Okay,
go
that
Oh,
down
there we
sounds
are.
sounds good.
That'd be a spicy show then. That one.
Spicy, yeah. There you
Spicy.
go.
Spicy Sean. Thanks everyone for tuning in and stay tuned for next upcoming episodes. I also recommend people to tune in to our other show we had on before Sean also, Tamara Taggart.
Tamara Taggart, she was great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
tune into that if you were following what's going on in the CLBC. There's that story. That story is still developing even more as we speak because there's a lot of fix-ups that need to be done within that organization. But yeah, so anyway, thank you and stay tuned. Take care.
Cheers, everyone.